to Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. Hi, I'm Devara Kresniansky, and I've been coaching women for a long time in all areas of life, including women in midlife. Midlife is an exciting time, but it's also confusing, and so I invite experts to join me here as we unpack this crazy and interesting time of our lives. You can join our conversations on our Facebook group, Jewish Women Talk About Midlife, and on our website, Jewish Midlife. When we hit midlife, so much is changing, especially our bodies. And so how we care for our bodies also has to change. I had the pleasure of speaking with Ashara Zukerman, a knowledgeable and supportive personal trainer who specializes in midlife women's health. Our conversation focused on the significance of exercises specifically tailored to strengthen the bodies of midlife women, with a particular emphasis on bone health and cardio fitness. Ashara spoke about 5 key exercises that play a vital role in promoting strength and resilience during this stage of life. Her expertise, patience, and encouraging guidance have not only helped me personally, she has also taught me the importance of correct form, pacing, and alignment to maximize the benefits of each exercise. Join me as we delve into a deep discussion on the importance of these exercises, their impact on bone strength and cardiovascular health, and the crucial role they play in empowering midlife women to thrive. There's so much here about strength training for us at midlife. Enjoy. Today, we're having a really important conversation about fitness and making sure that we are fit and strong and healthy for the rest of our lives. And it starts with really taking care of ourselves. And what I'm learning, and I'm sure Ashara, you'll tell us more about it, is that the way we took care of ourselves, the exercise that we did in our younger years are wonderful for that time, but we have to tweak things up a little bit for the way that our bodies are changing. And so there's things to really know and to adapt. So I'm really excited to be having this conversation. So I'm talking with Ashara Zukerman, and Ashara, you can tell us a little bit more about the work that you do. I see that you're sitting in your studio. So I want to hear a little bit more about what you do in your studio and what you do with your clients.
Okay, thanks for having me. It's amazing the work that you're doing, and I'm so happy to be here. This is my studio. I'm in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and I work with women primarily over the age of 40, but really from 19 to almost 80. And we work on getting strong, using our muscles, learning how to move, having proper body mechanics, and getting strong from the inside out with a real focus on form, and how that helps our daily functionality and helps us feel better and prepares us for life.
Right. So there's a few things that come up for midlife specifically as far as fitness. Of course, there's a lot of things in hormones and brain fog and all of that, but not all of that is related to exercise or the fitness that you work with. But what I'm hearing a lot about is bone health.
Yeah.
And what else is in that category? Cardio.
Bone health, building one's bone density, is achieved really through weight-bearing exercise. Weight-bearing is defined as any exercise that takes place on your feet where weight is placed on the lower extremities. So anything like squatting or lunging, or where your muscles are working under some pressure. Swimming is great, but it's not weight bearing. It's cardiovascular. It's going to strengthen your heart muscle. But when we do things to strengthen the muscles in the lower extremities, that's going to stimulate bone health and bone strength, which we really need as we get older. Helps us. It's really preventative. It helps to prevent falls. It helps the joints get stronger. It prevents hip fractures, prevents knee injuries, it prevents imbalance from taking over. There's a lot of benefits to the weight-bearing exercises.
So what are some examples of weight-bearing exercises? Of course, working with weights, and I want to talk about the right and the wrong way to do that. But besides working with weights, what other exercises are weight-bearing? You said lunge.
So you can do squats and lunges. So there's 5 categories of movements that we do. There's hinging, there's lunging, there's pushing, there's pulling, there's reaching. So there's these 5 categories that we go through. And if you think about your everyday life, those are all the movements that we do. Those are it, and the carrying. So we go through those categories and we make them more challenging. So whereas when someone starts, they may only use their body weight, and the way you would increase your weight bearing load and challenge to your muscular system without weights would be by playing around with your pacing. So maybe slowing things down or speeding things up. Many people think the best way to get through a workout is to just go quickly. But actually, I like to tell my clients you want to think about time under tension. So that's not a hurting tension, but it is sort of keeping the muscle under tension a little bit longer, which promotes the muscle to get stronger.
So if we're doing like a lunge, stay in that position rather than just go up and down?
Yeah, only the caveat would be as long as you're sure that that's a lunge with proper body mechanics, because a lot of people will have a lot of knee pain. You'd want to make sure that your form is right before you would start doing it. But if you're someone who's has their videos that they do and you're happy with them and you want to get a little bit more, or maybe you got a exercise prescription from your physical therapist and you want to add a little bit more to those, you can slow things down, or you can go down for a count of 2 and up for a count of 1. There's different ways to play with pacing to not only increase the muscular load, but to send different neurological signals when you play with that pacing and patterns.
Walking, running, jogging.
Oh, okay. So if you're out on a walk, okay. So if you're out on a walk, you want to make sure. So power walking is great. You want to pump the arms. You can focus on pressing your shoulders down, holding your arms tight. I like to think about different things, which is alignment. So alignment is another way that you can make something more challenging. Shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, straight. A lot of us have a tendency to roll one forward, the way we sit, the way we lean. So when you're walking and you think, well, my shoulder to shoulder should be even, my hip to hip should be even, you'd be surprised what a meditation that is and how that actually will strengthen your core, because it takes concentration and work to keep your shoulders back and to keep that one shoulder that wants to roll, keep that back. So that's another way to get more effectiveness and more core work out of your walk. Jogging as well. I mean, I'm sure that people who are jogging just want to make sure they're doing that safely. They can play with their pacing. They can do intervals, not full out sprints if you don't want to. You can go a little faster for 30 seconds at a time or something like that.
So like walking, running, and
Yeah, intervals.
changing it up.
Intervals are great. There's a really good app called C to 5K. Everybody knows about it, Couch to 5K. And it takes you through, I think it's like an 8-week or maybe more training program, getting you ready to run a 3-mile race. It's a free app and it's a really quality app. It just tells you now walk. And then, the first week you're jogging 30 seconds twice, and then the next week you add on. So that's a really good way so that the person doesn't over fatigue and then not want to do it again for 6 weeks. So it's about finding that balance, something that's going to be maintainable.
So jogging and walking are considered weight bearing exercises as far as bone health.
They're really more in the category of cardio because of the level of focus. It's not really, I guess it's technically weight bearing because you are upright and walking. But I think when a doctor or physical therapist says weight bearing exercises, that's going to be a more typical regimen of, if you're not squatting, maybe bringing a high march, getting your knee to come above the hip and below, because most of us are just frontal motion, walking through that frontal plane, everything stays low. So, holding yourself straight, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, and bringing your knees up. That's a pretty typical one. That's going to promote the core strength, sense of balance. Also really good for your hips to be able to lift that knee up. We don't want to shuffle. We find that as people age, they start to shuffle, or that's why you want to practice those things, little ways of lifting the knees up
And let's talk
keeping
about
mobile throughout the hip.
So let's talk about actual weights themselves, because there's lots of different ways that they are selling, whether it's the weighted vest, which is a whole different thing, than the dumbbells, but then the bracelet. So let's talk which are better for you and which are sold, but probably not so good for us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think a set of 5 pound and an eight. I think a set of three fives and eights are good for everybody. Those are really good. The weighted vest is really more used by athletes to do things like squats and lunges, where they're using that weighted vest for weight bearing, lower extremities, leg exercises, but their hands are free. So that might allow them to practice catching a football or doing something else with their hands. Reasons to avoid walking or jogging with a weighted vest is that's 10 pounds on the spine. If a person has not really practiced staying upright, they can throw their back out, they can throw their hip out. So because any imbalances that they may have will be exaggerated with the vest on. So, there's a place for them, but I wouldn't recommend it as just like a go-to unless you're going to the physical therapist and they have you put it on, obviously. Ankle weights and wrist weights are pretty much in the same category. You're taking about putting a weight, unless a person's got really strong wrists that they know are strong and their ankles are strong, you want to hold those weights because actually holding the weight, I tell my clients all the time, look down at your wrist when you're holding the weight. You should have a straight line. If that weight is causing your wrist to open, and then you're going to get that wrist pain. It's actually work just to hold the weight in the hand and keep your wrist straight. That's going to cause all of your muscles to engage. I'm a bigger fan of the dumbbell. Also, resistance bands are terrific. There's some hanging over there, but any resistance band is going to be a safe way to challenge yourself. It's plenty challenging and very effective.
As far as weight bearing specifically.
Yeah, well, so as far as building the strength and the mobility and the functionality of a muscle. So if, let's say, a person wants to work their back muscles or their shoulder muscles and they don't really feel comfortable lifting a whole weight over their head, they start with a resistance band and they just pull down. Just the motion of reaching and pulling is in and of itself beneficial. Releases neck pain, releases neck tension, back pain. So not sure that's in the category of strength training.
So what I'm also hearing through all this is that it should at least get started your new exercise regimen with somebody who can really make sure that he's doing the right thing, not jumping 10 steps ahead, and you're holding yourself in the right form and not just watching a video and saying, oh, that looks fun, or my neighbor's doing that, but really getting to know what you're doing for yourself from your own starting point and what you want to work on.
Yeah. It's a trainer is good. There are some pretty competent people on YouTube. There's some real experts who are out there putting themselves out there to work with beginners. I think there is a lot to learn there. And obviously, like the red flags are always going to be promises of anything, any promise other than you will get stronger from doing this is something you want to stay away from. But someone who's out there making themselves available for beginners is, as long as they have credentials, they're a certified physical therapist, personal trainer, and they're prompting you throughout the workout to do things safely is a good sign. Trainers who never mention safety are not, but any trainer at any level, a trained trainer will always be talking about that. Yeah, hiring someone or finding someone like that on YouTube who's concerned with your form and safety is probably a good bet.
So what about yoga?
So yoga can be great. There's so many different types of yoga, many different paths that yoga has gone through. So yoga can be really good. And if you enjoy yoga, then that's great. It's not necessarily going to build strength. However, some yoga is more focused on strength. So it kind of depends. I find that with yoga, some people will find things like planks, or again, anytime they're going to put pressure on their wrists or on their knees, they're going to have aches and pains. Just want to make sure that your teacher knows how to provide you with the appropriate adjustment so that you're not in pain. I think that a lot of us grew up and we heard these slogans, or no pain, no gain, or we saw things and people, there are some people, it's not everyone, but there are some people who still think that exercise should be painful. And if it's painful, then they've done something right. So I know in my practice, I really teach what it feels like to contract a muscle, and that is not a painful feeling. It is exertion. sometimes you will be exerting yourself, but it shouldn't feel painful. Your knees shouldn't hurt, your back shouldn't hurt, your neck shouldn't hurt. That would be an indicator that something needs to be adjusted.
So like when people talk about today is my leg day, and they can't do leg work the next day because they're in such pain or such stress, are they not doing it right?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I mean, I think it depends at their level of training. It's definitely possible to train safely and still be sore the next day. That's for sure. Especially people who are putting a lot of stress on their muscles in a safe way. Yeah, they'll have some soreness, but again, that could be a buildup of lactic acid in the muscles. Totally okay. It depends. Did a person throw their back out or did they work really hard? It's important that people just realize there is a difference. So after, yeah, sometimes there will be soreness and that's fine. But they have to, a person has to understand in their own body what's the muscle soreness, and that will feel in the muscle. Most people, if they work out a little bit, will start to understand what a joint feels like, what a muscle feels like. They're very different feelings to have joint pain versus muscle pain.
I guess that makes sense. Now, another whole set of questions moving along as far as the timing in the day of when is ideal. Of course, when you can do it is ideal. So, but
Yeah,
if you can either do it in the morning or before you go to sleep, because you can make it either one work, is there one that is better than
I
the
think that they've come out with things that have said, no, if possible, the morning. But there's plenty of people who work out at night. I used to love working out in the morning. Now I work all mornings. So I'm really psyched when I get a morning off and I can work out in the morning, but usually I work out at the end of my day, sometime about midday, really. And I can work just as hard. But there is something nice about that morning. Gets people up, you feel great the rest of the day. But I wouldn't say effectiveness doesn't really make a difference
Mhm. I
as
think
long as you feel like you're present enough to get the work done.
so I think if you're working outside, sometimes the earlier morning, especially now as we're getting into the summer, the earlier is just less hot
Yeah,
and sometimes less humid. It really depends on how the day goes.
yeah, yeah,
So
that's true.
that might be enough of a reason, but in the winter, that's not necessarily the best reason because it's too cold. So just
Yeah,
figuring out, I think whatever works, like we said, whatever works best is best. But I was just wondering as far as if we can now make our own schedule, when is better. So you're saying it really doesn't matter. That will
it really doesn't matter. No. A lot of times they say to work out at approximately the same time every day. I think there's research that suggests that's beneficial. Your body kind of comes to expect it and sends some hormonal and chemical signals that will help the workout.
right. They say the same thing about eating. It's like
Yeah,
the body wants to know when it's going to be eating. It's kind of ready. And if
yeah,
it's not, then it's going to react differently.
yeah, that makes sense.
So then go leading to that, as far as eat before, drink before, after, how long after?
There's so much to say about that. When people are just starting out by me, I really like them to have something. I know a lot of people you don't want to work out on a full stomach, but like a fasting workout, you definitely want to. I don't advise that. Some people do it, that's totally fine, but I wouldn't advise that at all. So a little something, some almonds, a banana, or you can have your regular breakfast and just wait an hour. Definitely have water nearby. You want to just take little sips the whole time. If you are stressing your muscles and working with weights, that's going to tear down tissue. So putting the muscles under stress makes little tears that then actually rebuild as lean muscle, that rebuilds the muscle. Protein sources act as a band-aid for that repair. They help it repair. So eating protein within 40 minutes of exercising where you've used weights is shown to help muscle growth and I think prevent some soreness.
So is that 40 minutes before or after?
After.
So it's after
Yeah.
after the,
Yeah. An empty stomach would be like fasting. If you ate an hour or two, even 2 hours or 3 hours, that's usually fine for the workout, even 3 hours after a meal. Some people will come in the morning, they didn't eat since the day before. I've only had 2 people faint. It's very scary.
wow.
Not fun. Not fun. So I'm pretty strict, just but like once just when they're first starting out, 'cause then they can understand their cues and stuff.
So as far as sweating, is it okay, like, if to be working out in the heat of the day or with less air conditioning, or does it really matter as long as you're drinking?
You want to always be aware of of your own body's signs. You ask yourself, a trainer will ask you, are you feeling lightheaded or dizzy during a cardio segment? Some people, when they first start working out, a lot of up and down movements will make them feel like a vertigo type of feeling. That's also something that you want to be careful of. Things like rotation, spinal rotation, some people who aren't used to that, that will give them a feeling of an uneasy feeling, just as being overheated, just as being dehydrated. So this isn't, unless you're taking hot yoga, we blast the air conditioner here. So I have some people who say, turn it off. Then some people will say, turn it on powerful. That's really a personal preference of you knowing, but there's no benefit to working out in the heat
So
at
all that
all. But
stuff
you
that they
want to
were
keep drinking.
selling, remember that when they were selling those like sweat guards, not sweat guards, no, to actually make you
The
sweat, that
Yeah,
silver stuff?
yeah,
No.
no, that might just make a small difference on this. I don't know why people do that. That maybe they're trying to hit a certain weight, which is just going to be water anyway. It's not even that doesn't, yeah, I'm not really sure why. That's a fad. There's a lot of fads. I went to a cycling class one time. I almost fainted. It was an indoor cycling class. And after I was Googling it, and they say, yeah, they turn up the heat so high to make people think that they're working harder.
Oh, wow.
If they would look at like their Fitbit or their activity tracker, they actually weren't working any harder at all. Their heart rate probably wasn't any higher, their output wasn't any higher, but because it's so hot, they feel like they worked out more. Oh, so I'm going to go back to that place because they worked me the best. It's like actually untrue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm all for the air conditioning, but if you want to go out, I also like it's nice to get outside and sweat in the summer also. It's a good feeling. Just make sure they have electrolyte drinks, little kosher tabs that you can put in your water to just replenish. They're very good. It's called NUUN. They're actually pretty good. There's no sugar, so it's like Gatorade without the sugar. It's pretty good actually.
So those are like little tablets they put into your water?
Yeah, yeah. I think you can get the same effect if you just squeeze some lemon or orange also. Get some electrolytes too.
All right. As far as you mentioned the Fitbit or the activity tracker, if we were to buy a device, what are the features that we're looking for?
So the tracker is really good to count your steps. So most people are not aware of their non-exercise energy that they do through a non-exercise activity, excuse me, non-exercise activity. And they say that is actually the main determining factor of a person's metabolism is their NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So how many steps you take throughout the day. So some people will go, actually, I was working so much. I had this experience. I was working a lot. I don't work out when I teach. I'm guiding people, but I am not exercising by any means. And then I'd do my hour of workout and then I would sit the rest of the day. A lot of us, no matter what your job is, it's like you think okay, even if you sit at a desk all day, you go to exercise, you think you're done for the day. They're like, it's better to take your 10,000 steps and spread them out throughout the day. If you had to choose one, they say it's better to just spread them out and get a ton of walking in than to just do that 1 hour activity. Ideally, we're going to do the strength training and we're going to get the steps in. That's the best because you're getting the both. So I have a Fitbit. I have the most simple one. It's like $70 on Amazon. Gets your heart rate. Really fun to track that. It gives you a score on your sleep, which I know you did a talk on sleep. Super important. Tracks how much you sleep. And they're very for people who are not into computers. And it tracks your steps. So I was telling my friend, she felt very sluggish. She felt like she wanted to feel more energized. And I just told her, try to get your 10,000 steps in. And she loves it now because she sees at the end of the day, wow, it was like a slow day, sat at my desk all day. I only did 6,000. She goes out, takes a walk down Eastern Parkway to the Yo and back. She's at 10,000 and it feels good.
Right. They also talk about for other reasons to get up, like every 45 minutes, get up from your seats and just for other reasons, not only for your steps, but to
Oh
get
yeah.
wiggle and to move, because just
Yeah.
typing doesn't move very much.
This has a little setting actually. It does a little vibrate buzz to remind you to get up and move.
And to drink.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very important to move around throughout the day.
And make yourself reasons to move around. If you're working in the office, go to the further restroom or
Yep.
take the steps to the restroom on the other floor.
Yeah. Go to the
Or
fish store, buy your fish for dinner. Yep. Keep walking, keep moving.
find the places that you can actually walk to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know there's the typical one of parking your car further away. It's like, it's a good one.
And take the steps in your building rather than the elevator if that's what's available to you. Like just
Yep.
finding the little opportunities for exercise.
Yeah.
I remember years ago reading an article about this woman who she wanted her husband to take out the garbage 3 flights down, and he didn't for whatever reason. But it's not about the marriage. But then eventually, when she reframed it as taking out the garbage as an opportunity for exercise, she reframed it for help the marriage, but it also helped her exercise. So I thought that
Yeah.
was an interesting way of looking for opportunities.
Yeah, that's cute. I like that.
And then there's always opportunities. Instead of leaving things at the bottom step, you can go up every time we have something to put away.
Yep. Yep. Going upstairs to get stuff, doing the laundry, all that stuff. It's very functional in our daily lives. You know, we have to do it anyway. And
So we were talking about weight bearing for bone health, and then we mentioned a few for cardio. Can we just make a little bit more of a list of what are good exercises for cardio?
okay, good exercises for cardio. We know the obvious ones of walking and jogging. Dancing, you could do a faster paced yoga, swimming, really there are so many videos on YouTube of low impact cardio. Anytime you're moving your arms and legs, marching in place, hopping, jumping rope, anything really, anything that's going to get you up and moving. So the fun thing about having a Fitbit or an activity monitor is you can actually see your heart rate, which I was never so into before, but I am finding it quite interesting now to see, okay, here's my resting heart rate. And if you look at what we're supposed to, how high our heart rate's supposed to be getting according to medicine, it's pretty taxing. They want us to be strengthening that heart muscle. Cardiovascular is the act of strengthening your heart muscle. People think, oh, cardio means jogging. Cardio means it's your heart. Cardio is the heart. Cardiovascular activity is elevating your heart rate so that the heart works harder. So it's like strength training for your heart. So pump the arms when you're walking and feel that heart rise, a little shortness of breath. Those are good things. That's how we strengthen the heart.
Which is something that we really start needing when time we hit midlife. We start noticing that we really ought to be doing. In our 20s, our hearts are really strong. In our 40s and 50s, they still can be quite strong, but we have to maintain that.
Yeah.
Not just as strong because we were born that way.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's really like these changes that are happening are really happening.
They're really happening. They are really happening. Yeah, like a walk after dinner, keep on moving, get the heart rate up just a little bit. Even just watching the clock for a minute and doing a low impact, no jumping, just taking the arms above the head and doing a jumping jack. Anytime your arms go above the head, that's going to be about 30% more load for the heart. So you're going to feel that heart rate go up. You can hold something above your head. You can straighten out your arms and march. You're going to feel your heart rate go up there as well. That's why when you take like an aerobics class, even from, way back when, they're always march in place, march in place. If your arms are above your heart, you're going to feel that heart rate start to rise. And actually, that's a very good warm up to do. So let's say you were going to do a video on YouTube or go on a walk, doing some of that warming up in the house to get the heart pumping. It's a very good way to prep the body for some of that, and also to cool down, to slow things down at the end so the heart rate doesn't just drop off, back to resting.
Right. So we've been talking for about a half hour about exercise, and not once did we talk about weight loss, which I think is really a good thing, because we're really trying to use exercise to strengthen our bodies. We may lose some weight, but I think that when the goal is to lose weight, we end up doing different kind of exercise, and we're not really doing it to really strengthen what needs to be strengthened. And so that's what I find when I talk to people.
Yeah, that's very well put. That's very well put. It's so true. It's so true. Your intention, why you're there. I was reading something recently that says it may cause a person to drop some weight. It's just one part of a very big picture. The reason why, like if someone wants to lose weight, where they're going to add in that cardio is, or even just regular exercise is, it's in addition to cutting out some calories, then they add a little bit more of that deficit with some exercise. But it's not significant. Like if a person just, it's exactly what you said. If a person thinks I'm gonna burn more calories by really just throwing my, by doing things, they're not really. First of all, the caloric difference is like nothing or nil. It doesn't have any effect, and they didn't get all the benefits of moving slowly with intention, or not moving slowly, but moving with intention to strengthen certain body parts and muscle areas. So that's so true. When people are doing it to lose weight, they do approach it differently.
And what I want to stress is, at least from what I'm seeing and from my colleagues, and you know better, this is your field, but the idea is to really strengthen our bodies. And for most people, at least at the very beginning, when there is extra weight to lose, it will come off. And
Yeah, it's
maybe
true.
not the last 10 pounds, but some weight will come off. And what I'm also finding, amongst my peers at least, is once you start taking care of yourself in the exercise part of your life, you start eating a little bit better and drinking more and taking care. So as long as you start from one prong, a lot of other things fall into place once you're taking this seriously.
It's so true. It's so true. Yep. It's so true. And the good feelings that you get and the endorphins, they stay with you afterwards. And I think that's really well put. It's true.
And what I'm also hearing is that with the consistent exercise, the sleep, for many people, their sleep actually ends up being better.
Yeah. Yep, it does. Exercise definitely improves your sleep. There's a lot that goes into sleep. I wish it was only exercise, because I exercise a lot and I can wake up with some. I'm working on my sleep because my Fitbit gives me a score, and I don't like getting bad grades. But it does most, especially when a person first starts exercising, they get a pretty nice sleep out of that as well. Yeah, the benefits span so far, and I like the way you said that. It really does affect every part of your life. So your choices, we will make healthier choices.
Well, at least that's my experience. Is that when
Yeah,
I do a workout, which is different than the days that I am too busy to do a workout, which I have to really restructure my days. It's like I
well, they
do
say
walk in the morning, but I'm talking about other, more specific.
yeah, they say like 2 to 3 days a week of strength training is good, and then the other days of walking. That's great. Walking is really good. I think they keep coming out with more and more studies about how great walking is. Well, because even they say, even like a person who jogs for half an hour, it's really the same as a person who walks for an hour when they're talking about calories. So if a person's going to have knee pain and hip pain after their half-hour jog, it's going to cause them to sit the rest of the day, then take the hour walk, feel energized, and got all those benefits so you can keep moving, and keep energized for the day.
Well, that extra half hour may make a difference in someone's day. So
It's true.
So
It's true.
again, if you're going to end up sitting the whole time, maybe it's not worth it. And again, there's trade-offs and everything. But
Yeah, there are.
understanding the trade-offs is what I'm really understanding from this. is what am I trading off of? I'm doing a faster or shorter exercise time. Am I really gaining the benefits, equal benefits? Because like you were saying to begin with, to do it slower and hold the position and feel the burn or feel the stretch rather than just running the whole time. So it's like,
Yeah. And there's a lot of great like 5-minute videos on YouTube, like 5-minute arms, 5-minute legs, 5-minute shoulders. And that is just as beneficial. Actually, it doesn't have to be done all at one time. There's actually no benefit in, I mean, well, maybe we're for the cardio element of strengthening the heart, but there, other than that, it's, I mean, for the endurance, but a person can break up that hour or that half hour or that 15 minutes of exercise into 5 and 10 minute segments. And it has the same benefit as putting in a whole hour at one time.
and what are your thoughts about doing like an hour and a half every other day? Or is that a lot?
An hour and a half is a lot. And well, not, I mean, it's for a walk, I'd say it's fine. But an hour and a half, I guess it depends on what that person's doing. Most people that I follow, like over 40, they say an hour of strength training is pretty much should be good. But if you're talking about walking, I think walking is something that we can do however much feels good.
It's something that's natural, really natural. That's how we humans were designed, was to walk.
I love it. And it's such a good stress release and it's such a great, I love walking.
Oh, the other thing that I love to add to the walking, when I'm not walking in real nature, is to look for the nature. I love like finding that the little weeds that grow between the sidewalk cracks. Like there really is nature, and there's so many interesting things to see if you slow down and
Yeah,
appreciate what you're looking at. It may not be nature, but I think there's just it's just curiosity, just seeing what is in this in the cityscape. I find it's just
I
I
love
was
it too.
like an awe walk. I was just like, wow, look at this world that we were so busy before. But when I find that when I actually slow down, not necessarily slow down the walk, but slow down my thinking and enjoy what I'm seeing, even if it's a cityscape, even if it's graffiti, even if it's garbage, there's still something beautiful and curious about what I'm looking at. And I enjoyed the walk, even if some parts of Brooklyn.
I love it. Yeah, I do too. And it's a great perspective. It really is. Yeah, I love it. I love to walk in Brooklyn. You can walk to Trader Joe's, do your shopping, and come home. Yeah. And
At
it's
least
amazing if
you
you've
can
been in
walk to
Brooklyn.
Trader Joe's, you just can't walk back.
I know it. That's exactly true. It's amazing to see how Brooklyn's changed too. It's like we're in a time lapse, watching it in real time, just keep developing. It's amazing. Another beautiful place to walk is in Williamsburg down by the water.
Right. Or walk to the park or get a membership in Brooklyn Botanic Gardens is also beautiful.
Oh, so beautiful.
And that changes, then you can really see it change. So there's something wonderful about being in nature, but also if you can't be in nature, I really recommend enjoying the cityscape because there's really so many interesting things, so many interesting people to be looking at, or I just find it fascinating to the world that we are living in. And you can contrast that to the nature that you enjoy being in, but I just find that not dreading the walk. Like some people, it's such an ugly walk. I don't, yes or no. It really depends what you look
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And you probably have listeners from, all around,
at. Right.
all of many different places.
Right. So that's why I want to keep it. Not everyone has the Brooklyn scape, and even Brooklyn, I find, or different parts of Brooklyn, but there's so much to see in any city. Some cities do have more green space, and some houses that I pass have more green space. But my point is that anywhere you go, even if you go into real concrete jungles, there's something to enjoy the walk.
I totally agree. Today I went out with my mother in the 40s and I just walked down to 14th Street. I just, and every few blocks it changes,
Totally.
really something.
Yeah. So, Shara, we spoke about a lot of things, and there's no, I mean, talking about fitness is a long time, a long conversation, but I think that we really covered the basics of what is important to think about as you're thinking about your exercise regimen, was changing it up and really understanding what you should be doing for your midlife body. It just is, it's changing. And
The
just
body
embrace
is, yeah.
the body as it's changing, but do the best that you can for it. And I think that's really important.
It's so important and it's an investment. The work we do in our 40s and 50s and 60s is the investment for later. It's proven over and over again how beneficial that work is. It's truly an investment. And
Let me put that as an investment, because like when you see people in their 80s and 90s who are shuffling or bent over, I'm wondering what they could have done differently in their earlier years so that they wouldn't necessarily be in this physical shape that they are right now. Not everybody, but some of them. And it's just,
yeah,
while looking at them as an inspiration for what I ought to be doing.
yeah, absolutely. Yep. And obviously other things happen where they might need to draw on those reserves. Really invested just daily exercise and walks. And she's a breast cancer survivor. And the doctors told her that her recovery had a lot to do with that she had put the time into strengthening herself before that happened.
Oh, wow. So that's another important reason. So it's not only just for our bones, it's just for what inevitably will happen to us in some way or another. Just
Yeah,
how,
one different, yeah, hopefully we won't know from it, but it's also good to have that strength behind us. God willing, we'll all be healthy. But yeah, but they do say that's the preventative aspect.
right. So Ashara, how can people reach you? I know you have your studio in Brooklyn, but do you
Yes.
also online?
Yep. I train with people on Zoom. My Instagram handle is move_with_Ashara, ASHARA. And we're working on a website. And that's what you can find me here in my studio in Crown Heights or on Instagram.
All right. So thank you so much. And I look forward to working with you again. So
Yes, absolutely. Come over for a session.
and I will. So thank you.
Great. Great. Thanks so much. This was wonderful.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me in another fascinating conversation about midlife. If you'd like to reach me, Devora Kresniansky, to talk about your midlife or anything else, you can reach me at jewishmidlife@gmail.com. You can also find us on our website, jewishmidlife.com, and follow us on Jewish Midlife on Instagram or Facebook, and join our conversations in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. And share what we're doing with your friends and others in the midlife phase.